had for Ghana, Africa, and Women, prolific author, goes home, and we all join everyone else in Ghana and beyond, everyone whose life was touched by her work, to wish her family well at this difficult time. Professor Amataidu went to be with the Lord yesterday, and the family has communicated that she passed on peacefully at home. We continue to honor her memory on GTV Breakfast this morning. We hope you've enjoyed all the tributes that we've had throughout the show today and continue to keep her memory alive. It's a good time to see another play by Professor Amataidu. Perhaps another staging of The Dilemma of a Ghost or Anoa would be in the offing as part of all the tributes that I'm sure are going to be held in her memory as she journeys into the world beyond. And I would certainly look forward to reading or rereading some of my absolute favorites from her as well. And I hope you go out there and grab a copy of some of her books or look it up on the internet, and I'm sure that you'll have a jolly good read indeed. Rest in peace, Professor. It's still Breakfast Live on GTV, and we are going to have this conversation on the heels of what happened at Gomoa Ochireko on the Accra Cape Coast Highway just this week in the central region. 16 people painfully lost their lives in a gory accident on that stretch. And this happened on Tuesday. According to eyewitnesses, the accident occurred after a head-on collision between a petrol tanker and the bus at about 5 a.m. A lot of Ghanaians have been sent into early graves through road accidents this year alone. And we are asking the question, can the crashes be attributed to driver fatigue or driver problem? Or is it an architectural engineering problem that needs to be addressed? Is it in the design of our roads? We are asking many questions at the table today. And the road accidents are killing more people than malaria. Is that what we're being told? And we are very concerned about these developments, and we've invited some personalities to help us understand what more we can do to make this better. The Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Mr. David Osafo Adonting, has joined us at the table. Mr. Adonting, thank you for making the time.
Thank you.
And Mr. Cecile Gabra is the CEO of TopTech Driving, to give us also some perspectives. Mr. Gabra, thank you for making the time to join us as well. I'll start with the National Road Safety Authority. Your mandate really is to keep road users safe. It means that everything that happens on the road should be of concern to the Road Safety Authority. Do you feel that you are succeeding, or do you feel that you are not succeeding on this safety campaign?
Thank you very much. And let me say good morning to all our cherished viewers and listeners. And also good morning to my good friend, Cecil. Indeed, usually I'm not very comfortable when I come to studio to speak on road crashes when it happens. I think I always feel excited when I come, and then we rather talk about times that the crashes are not happening, and for that matter, why they are not happening, so that we can have some positive relays to deliver to the people. Unfortunately, I'm here this morning, and this is what is starting the discussion. Of course, that is the latest, and so I don't blame anybody for bringing it up at any point in time for us to talk about it. It happened. Ochireko, as you said, in fact, mentioning Ochireko rings a lot of bells to us, because it's a black spot. It's a place that we have recorded a series of crashes in the past, just like we always know of Kintampo and the rest. So now Kintampo is already made its name, its bad name. Ochireko is coming up again. Until recently, it ceased because we had to do a lot of engineering interventions there. And so you could see visibility, especially in the night. The road was very clear. A lot of education went into it. And then in recent times, the IGP also mounted a lot of police barriers, preventing motorists or drivers from speeding, as we all know, on that particular stretch. That stretch, Accra, Cape Coast, through Winneba to Takoradi, is a very, very dangerous stretch. dangerous because the road, the alignment is such that you always have series of curves right from the beginning to the end. Now, we have been very, very proactive, the National Road Safety Authority, in bringing this to the attention of motorists, to the extent that there were times that people even felt we went too far by installing certain information signs along the stretch, telling people of the number of deaths that we have recorded at various locations along the stretch. Now, I will say that as far as education is concerned, the National Road Safety Authority, we are second to none. We have had a lot of engagement with motorists, both the organized and the non-organized. Organized, I'm talking about the commercial transport service providers, the GPRTUs, the Pro Tours, and so on. Now, we have other advocates, some of them led by my good friend here, leading the campaign, being proactive all the time, speaking to people, their conscience to change their attitude. But I think what is emerging is clearly a case of not only the talking, not only the education, the advocacy, but there's something else that we are not doing. The fight against the menace of road crashes cannot be done using education, advocacy, or awareness creation alone. There are other components, elements that come on board that makes it whole. I'm talking about road engineering and then enforcement. These are two critical things that I believe by now this is where we are. We have done a lot of awareness creation, a lot of education in the past. Now we are dealing with the human being, and you know how complex a human being is. The education, yes, they listen, but the doing is what now we have to come to the realization that we have come beyond the education. We should now go into the arena where we can force people to change their attitudes.
As an authority, do you have that mandate? When you talk about road engineering, that falls under someone else's mandate, doesn't it?
That's good.
But when we talk about enforcement, now that you are an authority, does it give you any extra authority over some of the issues that you've mentioned?
Exactly. That is a very good question. And I think that is where we are now. I am here to advocate for the necessary engineering interventions, enforcement interventions to complement the education that we're doing. Indeed, there is no institution across this world that has it all, that has all the powers and all the mechanisms for intervention against road accidents. No, it is a collaborative responsibility. Usually, an institution will lead, which we are leading, but you need complementary efforts from other institutions. In Ghana, for example, we have the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads and Feeder Roads, under the Ministry of Roads and Highways, who are responsible for ensuring the safe delivery of road infrastructure in Ghana. And I'm talking about the roads. Then you have the DVLA, also responsible for ensuring that the vehicles that ply our roads are safe. That's what we talk about roadworthiness, its structural integrity, and so on. And then we have the police that will have to ensure that people abide and comply by the rules and regulations. Unfortunately, we don't have all these three under our control. What we have is the power to lead, to bring them on board, share ideas, collaborate so that something is done either on the road, within enforcement, or the DVLA's activities. That is why we have gone for the power which we call the National Road Safety Authority mandate. The authority is not for us to deliver roads, infrastructure. It is also for us to do the work of DVLA or the work for the police for enforcement. But we have to still collaborate with them. We bring to their attention the need for them to do certain interventions to be able to control the situation. Now, there is one, having this opportunity, I think I will have to take advantage and draw our attention to the fact that in the past number of years, we have called for the dualization of our roads. I think where we are now, it is time for us to call a spade a spade. Our roads have some of the sections that are very dangerous, if I must use the word, have continued to be single carriageway. In recent times, our advocacy for dualizing in Nsawam to Apedra worked when government used resources and then now the road has been dualized. Trust me, there hasn't been any head-on collision on this stretch, and it will never be. So did the government do when we have the Nkoko bypass. And trust me, when are we going to see a head-on collision on the Nsawam bypass or the Nkoko bypass? It will never happen. So it means that where we are, vehicle population is growing. The vehicle category in terms of those who load from Temahabo all the way transiting through our roads to the northern part of Ghana and the environs, they are also growing. People are now becoming impatient, driving behind slow-moving vehicles to the extent that you become hasty. You want to overtake at one point or the other. In the attempt of doing that, you meet an oncoming one, and there's always a collision which we call head-on. I think that we should begin to now move the agenda for dualizing all these roads. In the recent crashes that were recorded in Kintampo, the one that we are just talking about, they were head-on collision. Assuming at this stage, if we had dual carriageways, I'm sure this will not happen. And so it is telling us the fact that we are there now. The human being is said that in the recent one, we made some observation that one of the drivers appeared to have been very tired, sitting behind steering wheel and sleeping. Can you imagine?
Which of the drivers?
We're hearing is the bus that have loaded passengers all the way from Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, and indeed, it makes sense because they have traveled a very long distance. Now, very close to your destination, you feel tired and then you begin to sleep. Now, the danger of sleeping behind steering wheel is what we saw.
Isn't the advocacy to have multiple drivers for such long journeys and to change over at some point?
That is what we are what we are currently doing. Because that is the best we can do by advising and ensuring that long distance travels have two drivers, which most of the operators are using now. If you go to VIP, trust me, they are doing it. OA Transport, Imperial, and the rest, all of them going beyond 500 kilometers and above, or a journey that will last for 8 hours and above, they are using two drivers. But you see, there cannot be a situation where we can say because you are using two drivers, it cannot happen.
Let's pick Cecil's thoughts on this, because he runs a transport and logistics company. To what extent can we blame the driver for some of these mishaps? Mr. Adonting has talked about a lot of things, including stakeholder collaboration, but what can drivers be responsible for?
Well, let me just cite an example for you, and then you know that many more accidents that we see are not coming from the road itself, but then from the driver. There's somebody that I know, he will never allow himself to have somebody driving in front of him. I hope you understand me. When he sees any vehicle in front of him, he will try to overtake him. Right. I sat in his car and I asked him, what is wrong with you? That is his character. He doesn't want to see any vehicle in front of him. So we have a lot more of accidents happening because of the driver's faults. Okay. But then I want to tackle the issue that my very good brother raised. It is really true that when we dualize the roads, we'll be safe. I mean, that's we need more of dual carriages on our highway. If you look at, just like he said, you look at all the other roads except the Cape Coast Road, and that is where we have a lot of problems. If we have a complete dual carriage, that will cut away the issue completely of head-on collisions, okay? And in driving, when you come to accidents, head-on collisions are the most serious accidents, because here you are, the vehicle coming is driving at about 100 kilometers per hour. The other is also driving at 100 kilometers per hour. Okay. One is driving and sleeping. So what happens? Bang, death. So coming back to my statement again, it comes from the human behavior, okay? If all of us will be our brother's keeper by planning very well, planning effectively. Because if you are driving a bus, you should know you are carrying a lot of people, over 40 people, and then you should use common sense to know that if you drink and then you are driving, definitely to get to a period of time, you will sleep. If you are driving and you don't plan and say for every 2 hours I'll take a break of about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I mean, I say even everybody in the bus, calm down, stretch a little bit. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That will save a lot of lives, save the property, the investment of the investor who has bought the bus, and so on. So 90% of accidents that we see are caused by the human behavior, which is the driver. Okay, 5% fine, engineering of the roads that we always talk about, and then 5% again should be maybe mechanical errors on the vehicle. But in the case of the Achiriku area, my brother, have you removed those beautiful billboards to say 30 people died here? So we need to add more. We need
all
to,
of them are still up. Some have
we need to add more to it because it makes a lot of sense.
Did it help the campaign when we cited those boards
Yes,
there that X number of people died here?
Yes, it did. Even for the driver himself and then the passengers, you see. And then I sat in a bus where on the Cape Coast Road, one passenger said, "Ye drew ho," which means that we are getting to the accident scene. Okay. And then you see this billboard saying 16 people died there. The funny man will say, "We in Besho, hey, we have passed by, so we are getting on." Right. So that alone is really good. We need to bring more. However, I am still concentrating on the issue of the human behavior. Drivers. We have this issue where some of them have the B licenses and then they are still driving buses.
But that's a DVLA issue, isn't it?
It's a DVLA issue, but then the human being himself and the person who has employed him, okay, people don't care about that because if you're holding a B license, you can't go and sit in a bus, okay? Any learner driver comes out with a B license, but you find somebody with a B license gone to see company, "Oh, I'm a driver," maybe they look at the stature and say, "Okay, have you driven a bus before?" They would even test that person. They will say, "Okay, and this is it. You are going to do your first trip. Maybe somebody is going to sit by you." The little error that you commit, you've killed a lot of people. So this is what we see in this country. If we are not going to change, then we'll be doomed forever.
But Mr. Donting is saying that because there are multiple agents, authorities, and players at the table, stakeholders are many, they cannot do it by themselves. The Highways Authority and the urban roads will deal with, for example, traffic lights, even within the cities. Many of them are not working. And you ask the question, when are these lights going to be fixed? And they are not. So when it goes onto the highway, yes, dollarization would mean a lot of money. If we want to dualize Accra to Takoradi, that is several hundreds of kilometers of roads. How do we bring all these players to one table to have the hard conversations and ask the difficult questions?
Right, so that's an engineering issue where we have to have a lot of dual carriages and so on. Fine. But again, I guess this will be for the politicians to decide and the government to decide which roads are we doing and so on. But it is really important at this time that we need a lot more of dual carriage roads. However, and again, enforcement is the biggest issue that we have. And I'll be very glad if the IGP will institute his men. I mean, we need the patrol team. Not only patrol team looking for armed robbers and so on, but people who can identify issues in the LI 2180 that talks about road safety issues, to be on the road, not only to arrest people, but to educate them as well, right? Drivers, once why it's okay, I hope you understand what I'm talking about. I can never speak English without my mother tongue fancy, right? Their ears are hard. Let me put it that way.
Literal translation.
You see, so if we do not control them, we'll have many more of such accidents. Okay.
Could this have been avoided? This Ochiriko accident and all others that have happened on that stretch, Mr. Adonte, when you talked in your initial submission, you said the road itself has a series of curves. Yes. That's what it's been built to be. Is that a problem? Is that problematic that it has
Yes,
so many curves?
I think that
16
yes.
curves at one point.
I think that, first of all, let me correct that misinformation or miscommunication from the media. I'm sorry that the figure that we recorded as number of deaths, not 16, but 6. 6 people got dead in that particular crash.
At
but
Gomwa.
Not at Gomwa.
And not 16.
Not 16.
Our correspondents tell us.
We have corrected this through the media. If you look at the media space today, the National Road Safety Authority, we have corrected that. That's the figure we have. That's the figure the police also has. So not 16, but 6. But never mind, even if it is 1, it's still a problem. Now, I think I agree with Mr. Garba because, and I agree with you as well, much as we all need this dualization to solve the head-on collisions, will still not mean that even if there's head-on, there can be a crash. There can still be a crash. So I agree with you again that it's a very expensive project, capital intensive. Government in the next perhaps 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year may not be able to dualize the entire stretch. Now, where the problem now comes to for us to deal with then is the human beings that are using the facility. And I think I agree with him perfectly. We have to change our attitudes. We have heard it all. We know it. You know we are traversing a corridor that has series of curves. We've been told from training, acquiring a driver's license by DVLA, which is valid, all the way from B, C, D, and so on, we have been using the stretch. We know the problems and the difficulties associated with this road. All we need to do is to go within the limits of the law.
So why is it so hard for us
So
to
that is a
enforce
human
the
being
law?
for you. You see, he used something. You said it in tree. A swording. And that is the typical human being for you. Between here, Accra, and Kumasi, somebody will want to do it in 2.5 hours. Can you imagine? And that is speeding. He will do everything possible, and then he gets there and he tells everybody that I did it for 2.5 hours. A journey of 4 to 5 hours. No, it's not acceptable. People would want to get there faster than
Sometimes
everybody.
I'm told that the drivers even want to do this safely, but the passengers would tell the drivers that they are driving too slowly
Exactly.
and that
So
they
now,
should get them there.
even if you have dualized or you have whatever, we still have that human element that we need to deal with. Because if you give the opportunity to human beings to do what he likes, he will do it in a manner that will satisfy them. I think that, my dear, you sit behind a steering wheel. You have driven for a very long time. You are feeling sleepy. Now, when sleeping is coming, it doesn't come all of a sudden. It gives you signal. Once in a while, you blink your eye. You appear to be in a second or two dreaming. It happens to all of us. Haven't you experienced driving and sleeping?
Very.
Everybody. We all experience that. Now, once it happens, it's a signal that something is ahead of you. You are tired. The body is tired. The body has a limit. And that is the way God created us. At a certain point in time, you need to sleep.
But
Rest.
that needs rest stops.
So you
How
would have
many
to,
of these rest stops,
even
for
if there-
example,
even if there are
do we
not-
have that are safe? Because we can't just park anywhere on the road because a driver feels tired. It has to be at a safe place.
if you move on our stretches, even though we don't have a standardized rest stops, we have a couple of them that the private sector themselves have initiated. Linda Door is an example.
A very
Paradise
good one.
is an example.
Yeah.
A couple of them. That the very moment you begin
All that
to
you've
feel-
mentioned are on the Kumasi Road.
on the Kumasi Road, even on the
On the
Cape
Cape
Coast
Coast
Road,
Road.
we have a couple of them there.
There are petrol stations usually.
It's still a safe place that you can manage if there is none. And so you cannot come and tell me that I was tired, I was feeling sleepy, but I couldn't get any place to park. There are police stations along the stretches. You can park anywhere. But when you want to eat, you have places to go and eat and drink. But when you want to rest, you tell me you don't have any place to rest. I think we must make very conscious efforts to know that when it comes to sleeping, you cannot cheat nature, as we always say. The best antidote is for you to have a good sleep in the night. Wake up and continue your journey. But even within, you're a human being. Your body system cannot be all the time challenging God's principle. When you are tired, we are saying that look for a safe place. Even if it's a filling station, just go off the road park somewhere safely, take a nap of about some 30 minutes, and continue your journey. How is it difficult for any of us? Now, because the very moment you refuse to respond to God's nature, automatically you'll be punished. Now, our rules are not said that when you make mistakes or errors, it will save you. No. Maybe elsewhere, yes. But the very moment our rules are not forgiving, well, when you make an error, you make a mistake, if it is the bush, you enter the bush. If it is head-on, you will then have the head-on. So, as human beings, much as we are doing the education, police may do the enforcement, but they cannot be there all the time. Even in the night, I think IGP is trying to do a lot of work by placing or populating our roads with the police, but it can't be all the time. There are stretches that you can't find the police. Anything at all can happen there. It is up to the individual, us. This is the time for us to change. As drivers, let's change our attitude. The facilities we have on the road are not 200% proof for us to save us at all times. We have to change. We know the rules. We know the regulations. We don't sleep behind steering wheels. When you are tired, look for a place, rest. We tell you don't drink and drive. If you go and take alcohol and sit behind the steering wheel, it has negative repercussions. If you are speeding beyond the limits, it also has negative repercussions. That is why we advise them. And at this stage, we are not looking at the driver alone, even passengers. Those of you who sit in vehicles and then you tell drivers that they are crawling to safety. But if you push them, which they do nowadays, and if you don't speed to get them there faster, your vehicle will be on the scale and nobody will board it. Because you are a crawler. You crawl. They want somebody who will get there faster. But I tell passengers that if you want to get there faster, now aircrafts, you go to the airport and there are domestic flights. Just go pick the flight and then you can go there. You can get to wherever you're going. Kumasi, Tamale, Takoradi, and everywhere.
There's no domestic flight from Cape Coast to Accra.
Well, I think we are advocating for one to be an airport to come to Cape Coast and the rest when it comes. But even if it is not there, can't you do a safe drive? I do it all the time. I don't go more than 90 kilometers per hour on the highway. And I get there faster, unless something happens. So there are rules and regulations that we have, through research, done it for people, and we use it for education. When we tell you, we really know what we are about.
So, it's tempting, and I totally agree that the human factor has a lot to do with safety on the roads. But we can't also gloss over the engineering part. The fact that our roads continue to be poorly illuminated, so there are no street lights on many of these highways, and even the curves that you talk about are still present. What's the Road Safety Authority doing about some of these things? Because chances are, if the roads are better late at night, we may be able to reduce the numbers that we are seeking to.
I agree with you again here perfectly. And I think that's exactly why we have asked government to scale up our mandate now from the normal advocacy and education to see how we can effectively engage our stakeholders, the engineers, to be able to now provide for the people what is required for a safer road. Under this new dispensation as an authority, the collaboration has become very deep. Now we are involved in road designs, the construction, the maintenance, the supervision. And so we are able to identify some of the unsafe locations where people take risk and then bring to the attention of the authorities for them to address. So if you can see on our stretches, a couple of interventions are now coming up. There are areas that we even bring up speed humps to minimize speeds. But we are encouraged now that speeding, which is one of the most critical problems that confronts us, the police will soon deliver, enroll, deploy their camera system. We have tested it, and across the world, now people have moved from the manual enforcement practices to technology. We are moving into technology now. I believe by September, thereabout, in the last quarter of this year, Ghanaians are going to see for the first time a camera installed on the highways. All the camera is doing is that it is observing, it is detecting people who are driving at speeds far beyond stipulated. And then it will take a video, a photo of you. Wherever you are, we will apprehend you. We will come to you. We
it
will
happens
send you
in other countries. Are you saying we are going to get
and that is what is coming. We are not sitting down. These issues and statistics and figures and crashes, fatalities, they are worrying.
Because you've mentioned statistics, what are we doing? How well or how poorly are we doing this year in terms of crashes?
We have for the past 4 months up to April ending reduced fatalities by 23% compared to last year. And we did similar reductions last year compared to the previous year. Clearly means that some of the interventions we are rolling are beginning to see positive results.
Are you able to give us specific numbers?
Of course, the education we're doing under the Stay Alive campaign, people are responding, people are listening. I must say we commend the media a lot. In fact, GTV and your team, you have been very, very, very generous. You have opened up your doors and your studios for us to be engaging the general public. We thank you so much. And all the other media houses across the country. I must also say that in recent times, or currently, if you move to our streets, the biggest problem that we had, which appeared to be skyrocketing our figures, our statistics, have now started coming down. All because the IGP now introduced what we call PARI, the police action against rider indiscipline. Now every motor rider is wearing helmet. Well, I'm saying most of them. And they are stopping at intersections. Can you imagine? Those days, no motor rider will stop on red at intersections. But now they are. Because he has deployed a lot of police and populated the road space to the extent that anywhere you move to, you find a police. There are others who are also riding, as if they are riding normal riding, but they are riding because of motor riders. They follow them, and they move and give them a direction as to where to go. They stop, and you also stop. These are all strategies that we have deployed through enforcement. Now, if you go every intersection, there's a policeman standing there. Even if he's not arresting, the deterrent alone is giving us a lot of positive, achievement. So do you go to DVLA, and DVLA has now automated all their operations. Indeed, you might find a few goros were coming in once in a while. But I think the driver training, the driver licensing and inspection of vehicles, now automated, have also brought some positive results into the whole road safety management framework. I think there are a lot of things that we are doing. And I believe if we continue to do that and maintain it, sustain it as well, we'll make a lot of achievements.
Mr. Gaba, what would be your advice for what more needs to be done to make sure that these reducing figures reduce even further?
Well, I'll go back to what I said. Let us change our attitude. If we change our attitude, things will look better. And then it is not only the driver that I'll say, passengers. And I'll tell you today that about 90% who sit in buses don't even have any idea of driving. All that they know is that I sat in this car, I'm going to Cape Coast, driver, look, in the next 2.5 hours, I should be there. So when the driver is slowing down, it's a problem. All of us must be educated, not only the driver. All of us. And then that is what I believe in, that if a bus is just about to take off, at least, whether you like it or not, 15 minutes, road safety issues. And there must be trip planning, okay? When I say trip planning, it's a whole course that all the drivers must go through. And then it talks about you, the driver himself. Are you well to drive? Talks about the speed. And David, I'm also advocating that the TV stations, the TVs that they put in the buses must be removed. It is not helping at all. The drivers take advantage and they would rather accelerate because everybody's concentration is on the TV. Or else if the TV is in by the side, we should extend the speedometer. Okay? And then in the bus, we should put it there that this bus must not travel more than 75 kilometers per hour. So if the speedometer is extended and then you can see 65, 75, and then the driver goes beyond it, look, we all have to voice it out. That issue where you sit in the bus and the driver is driving at a speed of about 80, 90 kilometers per hour, and then you are seated in and say, hey, you tell your colleague that, hey, the driver is speeding. No, voice it out. Let us all voice the, hey, driver, slow down. 80 kilometers per hour or
You know your
75.
drivers are fourth passengers over this.
Yes, drivers will fight, but then we need to voice it out.
But
it must not
attitudes
come
must change.
only from the driver. The attitudinal changes that we are talking about must be all of
Cut
us.
across.
Yes, all of us, and it will help.
Thank you so much for helping us to break this subject down. Mr. Cecile Gabra is the CEO of TopTech Transport and Logistics. He's been doing this with Mr. David Osafo-Adonting, who is the Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. Thank you, gentlemen, for making the time with us this morning. Hopefully, you've heard something today that will cause a change in your own attitude as you go out to use the roads. Remember that someone's safety may very well depend on your decisions as well. So make the right ones and let's all keep safe out there. Breakfast is still live on GTV. We'll take a quick break. When we return, there's a chat we'll be having with a very great musician after the break.